have be successful with your assignments, both for this semester and also beyond. There's a lot of, we have always had stuff online as long as there's been an online from the library, but now it's kind of all we have. So it's really important that that stuff, that you can get to the stuff that you need to be successful in your classes. So my name is Catherine. I am one of the librarians here at DVC. I've been working at DVC since 2016, and so I've been around for a while. I've been a librarian for about 10 years in and around the Bay Area, and I love my job and I love helping students. My entire job is teaching workshops like this and also answering questions. When you reach out to a librarian like me, my whole job is I wait for questions. I do other things in the meantime, but I wait for students to ask me questions. So if you want to find someone that is helpful, that knows a lot of things, even if it's not related to writing a paper or doing research, you're just like, I don't know where to go, I don't know where to start, ask a librarian. We are here to help you. That is our whole job, is helping students. So on the screen right now, you can see some different ways of contacting us. We have email, we have text. You can also chat with us 24/7. There's, which is really handy if you're in the middle of the night and you have a paper due in the morning and you're trying to, it's crunch time and you have an urgent question about doing research. We do have 24/7 chat. You can also download my slides by using the tiny URL at the bottom of the screen, which I will also share in the chat. Hang on while I flip through my different things. If you want to download my slides, I am posting the link in the chat right now, so you can have them for yourself. And what's nice about that is you can click all the links work. So if you wanted to link back to some of the stuff that I'm about to show you, you have them in my slides. So, this workshop there's kind of two components. The first half, I'm going to talk about the services that the library is offering right now and how you get the things that you need right now, because things are weird, obviously. We don't normally keep students out of the building, but right now we gotta, so for everybody's safety. And then the second half, I'm going to talk a little bit more broadly about how to do research for writing papers, doing presentations. If you have assignments in your classes that want you to pull in outside sources, things beyond your textbook and lecture notes, this is where you are going, this is where this is useful for you. So, and that's a little bit, so those are the sort of two halves of what we're going to be talking about today. If you remember nothing else about what I am about to show you and talk about, remember this: librarians are here to help you. That is our whole job. That is all we're here for, is helping students. So please reach out, please ask us questions. It is not bothering us. This is what we're here for. If you have questions during this presentation, I am going to keep an eye on the chat. So you can actually just post your question here. And if I might, hopefully we'll get to it, or I might not get to it right away, but I will see it. I will also be pausing throughout if you want to ask verbal questions. So either whatever works for you. If you want to unmute yourself, just wait to do that until question time. I've got a couple breaks in my notes, so hopefully I won't railroad anybody. So yeah, or you can type it up in the chat. So with that, let's see, away we go. All right, before we get rolling, I'm going to ask for some honesty here. Have you ever used the DVC library before? Either the online version, or if you've been in person, if you were a student before the lockdown started, you came into the building. So just, there's no right or wrong answers. I'm not judging. I don't judge. I just want to know kind of what's the real. Let's keep it real. Either raise your hand, or if you have, raise your hand in Zoom if you have come to the library, or you can just be honest in the chat. I'd love to know, because I'll be honest, the answer I usually get to this question when I ask it in workshops like this is no. Most students have never been to the library, and that's okay. Like, it's, we don't judge. We're here for you when you need us, but we want you to come in, but we don't judge if you're like, it's my very first time. I mean, I talk to students all the time and they're like, I'm graduating this semester and this is my first time in the building. So, and that's, 2 years in. So it's all right. It's all good. Okay, thank you for those of you who did. So it's about 50-50 split. Okay. So hang on a second. All right. So I sort of went over this a minute ago, but I'll just go through it. So we're going to talk about the library services that we're offering right now, what's available, and how you get the things that we have available. And then the second, I guess, 3/4 of the workshop are going to be about the broader strokes of, what happens when you're searching on the internet versus when you're searching on library databases. What kind of source do you need for specific kinds of assignments, or, ways of thinking about different kinds of sources and how that might influence your searching and where you go. And then most importantly, how do you get help when you're struggling, you're writing a paper or doing a presentation, you're like, I don't know where to start. Start with a librarian. We're pretty good at this. So, all right. So library services right now. Things are weird. Obviously, we've been at this for a while and we've managed to come up with some ways to still serve students, even if the main building is closed. So the main thing that, that I've been going to continue talking about the virtual reference desk. So this is where you're chatting with the librarian or you're texting with the librarian. This is something that's available 24/7. You will only be talking with a DVC librarian during the hours that are listed. So this is when we are online and on duty and answering questions from our local students. Outside of those hours, you will be chatting with librarians from other community colleges around the country, mostly California, but also around the country sometimes, because we're part of this bigger co-op to cover, all the hours in the day. But, it's nice. It's nice to know that you can get to a librarian in the middle of the night if you're writing a paper and it's crunch time, or if you're a night owl. So, like I said before, my whole job is helping students. Your librarians are probably the most helpful people that you will ever meet, because we go out of our way to help students and get people what they need for their to be successful. So you can reach us through email, you can reach us through texting, you can also reach us on chat. This chat link I'm also going to post. Speaking of chat, I will post the links to all of these things right now, as soon as I can get it copied and put into the chat window. There we go. Okay, links to all the things and phone numbers and emails and all of that stuff. So please reach out. We are here for you. We are here to help you. Other services that we are offering right now, we have a textbook scanning by email service. So this is if you don't want to come into the building to scan your textbook. Well, if you are still waiting to receive your course textbook and it's taking forever to get to you because the post office is flooded with all kinds of packages, because that's the only way we can get things from place to place right now, you can actually submit a request for up to 2 chapters of your textbook. Unfortunately, due to copyright restrictions, it's limited to 2 chapters per student for the whole semester, because we don't want to get sued by textbook publishers for pushing stuff out for free. So unfortunately, they're pretty aggressive with their intellectual property. So we do have to have that limit. But it's nice if all you need is the first couple of chapters because you're waiting for your textbook to arrive in the mail. Or maybe it's a weird situation where all you need are 2 chapters of the textbook, or even 1. They're pretty quick. They have a pretty quick turnaround during the work week. So if you request today, you may get it by the end of the day, but you might not, because today's Thursday, so you may not get it till Monday, just depending on, they work Monday through Thursday. So, and before you submit your request, I advise you to make sure that we have your book by checking the course reserves in the library catalog. And I can show you, I'll show you how to do that. Actually, I'll show you how to do that right now. So let me flip over to, hang on a second. Let's see. Oops, no, I don't want to do that. Let me see if I can switch to a different tab in my same window. Nope, can't do that. We're going to do it differently. Let's see. Hang on. Okay, library homepage. Let's do like that. All right, so this is the library homepage. So this is the place to start for all of the things that I'm showing you, that I'm talking about right now. We have in this box a link to pretty much all of the services that I'm working my way through right now. This one search box is where is the best place to start for any of our things. So whether it's textbooks, whether it's articles, books on the shelf, regular stuff, you know, all of the things are, we have both online and print sources in this one search service. So this is where you would go to look up your textbook and make sure that we have it. So that's the best place to start. So that's the textbook scanning. Now there's another way to get textbooks. If you want to come in person and do the scanning yourself, we will not limit the number of chapters that you can scan because it's on you. So if you do, you know, if you need more than 2 chapters, or if you need to scan other stuff, or you need to scan from multiple textbooks, this is something that you can do. You know, we have several sort of scanners, photocopiers, different equipment that's available for you to book. And that is by appointment only, obviously, because we want to restrict the number of people in the building, or we have to. And, you know, wear a mask, practice social distancing, They sanitize the equipment in between appointments. So it's, you know, we're being very, very cautious as far as, you know, bringing people in and trying to keep everybody safe. The appointments for scanning yourself, for self-service scanning, are available Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So the you know, there is a limitation because there's only so many appointments during the week. And you know, so if you want to, again, to check, make sure that we have the textbook that you want to scan. We have a lot. We actually get money from Associated Students, ASDVC, to purchase textbooks to be useful to students. So this is the way to get to all of our course reserves, which, you know, normally when things are not so weird, you can actually come into the library and use the book for up to 3 hours, et cetera. But right now it's mostly limited to scanning. And so I see a question. I see a raised hand in the chat. Mike, did you have a question?
Yes, I think I missed something. Why would we want to scan our own materials?
So if you do not own the textbook, if you have not purchased it yet.
Oh, so this would be a library book on reserve to scan.
Yeah, basically you check out we check the book out to you and you go to scan it. So if you know, if like, for instance, the Chem 108 textbook is like $250. I don't blame anybody for not wanting to buy that, or to waiting. Maybe you got to budget it out. So yeah, so this is for scanning our stuff.
Okay, it's good to know that we're not down to the 2-chapter maximum like it says online, that we can scan more.
Yeah, the two chapter max is for the emailed requests. So if you want us to do the scanning for you, that's limited to 2. If you want to come in yourself and do your own, do the scanning of our books yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Our books, your labor of scanning, you can scan as many as you want, as many as you can in a 45-minute appointment, I should say, which, you know, that's a lot of scanning. So you could, depending on how fast the scanner goes, you could get a lot in there. But yeah, so it's our materials, your actual action of scanning. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little, it's confusing because things are weird. Everything's weird. It's hard to explain. And so that's why we're here doing this workshop, right? So, okay. Thank you for the question. That's good clarification. Okay. So that's textbook appointments. We also, for things that are not textbooks, so the stacks, what we call, you know, in the one search, you'll see a DVC stacks. That means it's a regular book that you can check out for a period of time. Not something that's a textbook, but, you know, if you're doing deeper research, if you're researching a topic and it's something that's outside of a textbook, that's, you know, normally I think students think of it kind of like wallpaper, all of the books on the shelves that we have in the library, but no, those are our stacks. Those books are also available. We have a new, this is new this semester. We launched it in October, so it didn't start, we weren't able to get it in place at the beginning of fall. But we have it in place now. We have a contactless book pickup. These are lockers that are actually outside the building, so you can come anytime to pick up these books. And the books that are not, so if they're not part of our course reserves, if when you're looking at it, it says DVC stacks, you can actually check that out for the rest of the semester. And you just need to request it inside the library catalog. I'll show you how to do that right now. And once you get the email from us that says, hey, come pick up your book, there's instructions in the email about, you know, what to put in the combination on the locker, like which locker to go in and combination, how to unlock it. And you've got your book for the semester. So it's pretty exciting that we have that stuff available, because for most of 2020, they were locked. All of our great books were locked inside of a building that no one could get into. So I want to show you how to, like I said, I was going to show you how, let me switch tabs and show you how to request that stuff. So you'll see my chat popped up right here. I'm not going to ask for help right now, but that's one of the best ways to get your question answered, is that all of the pages on our website have this little clicky chat speech bubble at the bottom, so you can get chatting. You just put in your email and you're off and running. So I want to try to find a book on homelessness to request from the library. Now, right now we have it set up so that the default is things that are online. So I'm not necessarily going to find something in print in person. So I need to change that to books and videos on the library shelves and run my search again, because I want to show you how to get stuff off the shelf. So this is our one search. I've asked it for just the books, and you can see here it says DVC reference, other locations, DVC stacks. This is we're almost about to let the reference books be something that you can check out. We're not quite ready, not quite there yet, but very soon we will. But right now, if you see something that says stacks, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about right now. I do need to sign in order to request it. It's going to take me through the single sign-on. It knows who I am already. And the main thing is to click this button that says request. And then it says this will be due the end of the semester. And not just click it here, but then also click this button here, send request. Wait for the green box that says your request was successfully placed. That's when I know, okay, great, this is good. My request has been made, and this book will be waiting for me in a locker in a day or two. And I want to make sure that I wait to get that email before you show up on campus and expect to receive your book, because it'll also tell you what locker to go into and what combination to use. So, all right, so that is locker pickup, contactless pickup, which I'm excited about because there's actually books I want to check out myself from my own library. The other thing that I want to make sure students know about for the services that we provide right now are our librarian appointments. So if you are assigned some kind of a research assignment and you don't even know where to start, or you're not sure, or you've done some research, but you're like, I'm not finding anything good, I need some help, or I'm not sure I like my topic, or, oh my gosh, I hate citations, I stink at them, and I need somebody to look at my citations and make sure they're perfect. All of these things and more are what we can help with as a one-on-one thing. So it's basically like, it's almost like office hours with a librarian, and you can book those through the website. You know, so those links in that top box that I showed you, you know, there's a lot of different things that we help students out with. I think some instructors even they'll even set this as either an assignment or an extra credit thing in class if you have a research assignment. So you know, make an appointment with a librarian and get your extra credit. So, but that's between you and your instructor. So it's a great opportunity to just get some extra, you know, FaceTime with a librarian and get a good direction for doing your research, for being successful. And really, if you spend a lot of time doing research and you still have nothing to show for it, it's time to make an appointment with a librarian, because that's one of the things that we're really good at, is helping direct your search and get you looking in the right places so you spend your time productively. I see there's another question. Fire away.
Can you actually show us the page and where we would click to schedule an appointment?
Sure, absolutely. Let me get out of this one. Oops, no, I'm not ready to go there yet. Hello. Okay, sorry, my computer is being weird right now. So DVC Library. So the two things that are linked here, there's that 24/7 chat, make an appointment via Zoom, make a one-on-one appointment. You can also, the link down here, book a research appointment, those go to the same place. So one-on-one appointments. And it says, you know, things to know. You can pick your person if you want to meet with me specifically. I'm right here, that's me. Or if you don't have a preference and it's based more on scheduling when you are free. So we have a lot of librarians. We have we have appointments throughout those hours, those the chat hours I posted before, where, you know, it's like 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. I think. Something like 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. I don't remember. I don't remember our hours because I don't work evenings anymore, but something like that. So these are all of the DVC librarians that you can meet with, pick your time. There's further questions that you get asked about your research topic or the assignment that you're working on. So you can elaborate a little more, like, oh, I'm working on a speech, I'm doing something for English, you know, English 110 or whatever class you're working on. So that's where you would go. Everything starts at the homepage. There's a lot of stuff on there. There is also, let me show you, there's a link for services for students. So this is another place where you can find all the great stuff, as well as FAQs, you know, all the information about these different services that we offer. So that's another place where you can always, that's their student-focused services. All right, so are there any questions on the services that I've talked about so far, this COVID-specific constraints? Anybody, any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask or post in the chat. Okay, seems pretty straightforward. All right, groovy. Thank you, friends. I'm gonna take a drink of water. All right, so this is the part where I'm going to go into, you know, a little bit broader strokes, not so much focused on the DVC library piece of it, but now just library research in general, things to keep in mind as you are approaching research assignments, both for this semester and in the future. So there is a difference between when you are Googling something from a search engine versus looking at stuff, getting to stuff through library databases. And I know that this can be a little bit confusing for people because you are using a web browser to look at both of these things. So you use a web browser to Google stuff, and you use a web browser to look at things in library databases. But the big difference is that when you're looking in a library database, it asks you to sign in. So you have to get beyond that, you know, username and password portal. You sign in with your Insight portal stuff. And now you have access to a whole different ecosystem of information. Because, and what's happening there is essentially like you have paid for these databases through your student fees. You pay your money to DVC. Some of that comes to the library as a budget. We go out and we purchase access to these databases for you. So if you're out, you know, if you're Googling stuff and you find a research article and then it asks you to pay for it, you shouldn't have to pay for stuff because we have paid for lots of good stuff to support you. So if you're ever, you know, using Google Scholar or even just regular Google and you're like, what, $35 for an article? Ask a librarian, we could probably find it for you. So, you know, or find something that's just as useful that you don't have to pay for. Because you've already paid for it, you've paid your student fees, you've gotten your financial aid or whatever, however you pay for your stuff. You have access to these things. You don't need to pay for it again. Textbooks are a different thing, but as far as doing, you know, research articles and that kind of thing. But, you know, and at the same time, you use a web browser to access both of these things. So I know that it can be a little confusing. So the things that you know, when you are using a search engine like Google or Bing or Yahoo, when you're searching the open web, things are free usually, unless there's some kind of a paywall that you have to pay for. The content is not necessarily reviewed, so you can find all kinds of stuff, you know, student papers, you can find, you know, nonsense blogs, Facebook posts, like things where people are just sort of, you know, talking out of their ear, like they have no idea what they're talking about. It's also very random. You know, Google presents search results because it's making very educated guesses about what it thinks you want, but maybe it isn't actually what you want. It also changes all the time because, you know, links decay, websites get redesigned, and then the stuff isn't there anymore. It literally disappears. So it's not stable, and, you know, it may not be something that you can rely on to find, you know, accurate, useful information. Things that you get when you have signed in and you're searching within the library databases, these are things that have been purchased by librarians. We make really educated guesses. We're pretty smart people. We all have master's degrees, if not more. And we make good guesses about what's going to support the kind of learning that happens at DVC. We've selected and made good choices. It's also organized in a way that once you find something that's useful, you can find a lot of other useful things that are similar. And that can, once you have that key, you can unlock the door to all sorts of other wonderful research and things that are related to what you're finding. And it's also fairly stable. Once we have it, we want to keep it. So we try to get access in a way that's perpetual, that we keep having access to it. We don't have to keep, you know, paying every year. So we want things to be, you know, if you found something this year, this semester, it's going to be there next semester and the one after and the one after. So we will continue to have access to it. You know, changes do happen, but we try to keep useful things that are being used. We hold on to them as much as we can. As far as different types of sources, so, you know, a lot of times when I'm talking with a student, they'll walk up, back when I could be at my desk and students could walk up to me and ask me in person, they would come up and say, okay, I need a book. And I'll say, all right, what kind of book? Are you sure you need a book? Maybe you need an article. Maybe you need a magazine article or an encyclopedia. Are you sure you need a book? So, you know, I think it's important to know there's so many different types of sources out there. It's important to know why certain sources are useful for certain things and other sources are useful for other kinds of information needs. Books are wonderful when you want in-depth background on a pretty broad topic. Books have a lot of information in them, so they tend to be on bigger picture topics. You know, you're not going to find information on this specific battle in World War II, a whole book about it. You'll find a chapter in a book about it, or, you know, it's going to be a bigger picture, a broader thing. So if you're looking for a book on a very narrow topic, you may need to widen it out a bit. It's also, books are not so great for very recent events. So for instance, you know, because they take a while to get published. They take anywhere from like 2 to 5 to 10 years to get published. So you're not necessarily going to find any printed book that talks about COVID-19 because it's really new still. It's been going on, it feels like forever, but it's not actually forever. Or you're probably not going to find a printed book that addresses George Floyd's murder specifically. That was too recent. It happened, you know, just last summer. But if you wanted to get grounded on the larger issues of health disparities for people of color or police brutality in America, books are a great choice. You know, so, but you have to think about it in terms, you know, there are these news events that happened, but then there are bigger issues. So framing it in terms of the bigger issue is going to get you what you need in terms of books. So they're written about these broader topics. There's usually these underlying ways of describing those broader topics as you are writing about things like, you know, Black Lives Matter, or, you know, healthcare disparities, because some in related to COVID-19, maybe you need that kind of bigger picture. Maybe you need to take it. We have also quite a few ebooks. We have several different ebook collections. So if you don't want to take the time to request off the shelf and go to the locker and go to campus, pick it up, blah, 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 you can also cruise through our ebook collections because we have quite a few. And even more now, we're starting to actually actively collect more ebooks when we go to purchase stuff because, hey, that's kind of what we have right now. And the way to get into that is the library catalog that I showed you. It's called One Search on our homepage. So that's the, so that is this one where I was doing, let's do health disparities. Oh, health disparities race. It remembers my search from when I taught this last semester. And like I said, it's important to take a look at what's going on right here, because this is defaulting to the stuff that we have online only. But it gives me, because this is also looking across all of our article databases, I've got all kinds of stuff showing up. So this top one is an article. I know because it shows me this little picture. It also says the word article. This one says book. I can manipulate what I see using these controls on the side. So if I genuinely want a book, I can actually just ask for books that we have. Because it is online, I'm only going to see ebooks. You can see, oh, we have two different of the same one. If I want to actually look at everything in the bookland, including printed stuff and online stuff, just need to change the pull down. Oh, I get articles again. I want books, please. So, you know, you can control what you see using all of these, both the limiters on the left here and also this pull down here. And again, if you're like, I don't know where to start, then you can always chat with the librarian. Boom, there's your chat. So easy. It's right in the catalog. I like it. I like having it there. So let's see, we did that, and we demonstrated the hold earlier, so I don't need to show you that right now. I just want to make sure I don't forget anything. Any questions so far about books, ebooks, or regular books? Printed books, old school, smell of the printed page. All right. So articles, different kind of information, different kind of package, shorter. We like short. Students like short because it doesn't take as long to read. They're really good for very recent or very narrow topics. So I am totally going to find articles about George Floyd's murder and, you know, the fact that so many more people of color are dying from COVID-19 than white people. Like, yes, absolutely. Totally going to find articles about that because they get published much more quickly. So there's different flavors of articles. There's, you know, things that are published in newspapers, magazines, and scholarly journals. And as you go down that list, each of those items takes longer and longer to publish. So the buckets tend to be smaller and smaller, if that makes sense. And you might need to get a little more sophisticated with how you are searching for them as far as language. Newspaper articles, they get published every day. We have daily newspapers all the time. A lot of times there's a web version of an, you know, LA Times or San Francisco Chronicle, those kinds of name brand newspapers that you'll recognize. But they're also really short because they fit on a printed page, or, you know, they're meant to be these they're like little tweets of information, just little blips. And you may have to read quite a few of them to put the pieces together in your mind. Magazine articles are, they are really nice for kind of like maybe a little bit more of an overview, but not too deep, not too full of scholarly jargon. Those ones can be really nice. So that tends to be, they tend to be written for a more general audience. So you're not going to find words that you have to look up in the dictionary, or, you know, if you're not a healthcare researcher, or, you know, you're not a nursing student, there's not going to be like really high tech language that you're like, I don't understand what that means. Scholarly journals, which are also known as peer-reviewed journals, or peer-reviewed articles, scholarly articles, all of those names are interrelated. And those ones tend to be, you know, they're written by scholars for other scholars. So the language and the way of putting stuff together, you know, putting sentences together tends to be a lot harder to unpack when you're trying to read it, because they are written by scholars for other scholars. So people who are experts tend to talk very specifically with other experts when, you know, when it's like, oh, you're also, oh, we have colleagues where we can use all this fancy high-tech language and each of us understands mutually. So if you find these articles and you don't even really understand what the title is trying to say, it's probably a scholarly article. So, you know, some instructors require that when you're, you know, when you're doing a college level writing assignment. So if you are finding that, you know, you just be prepared that it might take a while to unpack it as you're reading, like, what did that mean? I'm not sure. Okay. So there's different flavors, different flavors of articles to meet different needs. And most of our articles live in the library databases, which this is, you can get to this both from the link I just showed you, as well as on the library homepage, A to Z list of databases. So this page, this is sort of like the thing, if you go to a shopping mall and there's that thing that shows the map that shows all of the stores in the mall, as well as like, oh, these are the shoe stores, and these are the restaurants, and these are the jewelry stores, and these are the clothing stores, department stores, da, da, da. This is that page, essentially. That's what this is. This is a list of all of the databases that we have available, as well as descriptions of why they are useful. There's also these little icons that can help you kind of make good decisions about what, what you want to see or what you want to try to find. You know, if you want videos, if you want, you know, reference stuff, encyclopedias that are good for background information, if you need primary sources. So you can kind of help, you can read the description, think about if that sounds like it's going to be useful to you. You can also narrow it down in terms of the subject you're doing research in. So if you happen to be, you know, if you're a dental hygiene student and you need those databases, or if you are, you know, wanting to do research for bioscience or, you know, psychology, speech, that kind of thing. So you just narrow down English, etc. And then there tends to be the best bets. So there's going to be a list that are of these two at the top are really, really good for English. There are other choices as well that are good, but this just narrows down and it kind of narrows the playing field a little bit. So you can maybe make a good choice as to where to go shopping for your article. I love Academic Search Complete for pretty much any topic I could possibly want to research. And so it's also handy that it's right at the top. So it tends to be where most students do their searching. So let's do the same topic, disparities, race. So here you'll see this says EBSCO right at the top. EBSCO is the name of the company that makes this database. So there are several different databases that have this brand name essentially. So it's like a car manufacturer, Toyota, makes a lot of different kinds of cars. It just depends, you know, do you want a zippy little sports car? Or do you need a truck? Do you want, you know, do you need your SUV? There's different kinds of databases that are made by this company, EBSCO. So it is searching for me. Okay. Now, because this is Academic Search Complete, it tends to show me my academic journals right on top. And it's talking about, you know, health and healthcare disparities, oh boy, sexual orientation and race ethnicity, all of that kind of thing. And just like in the one search, which we were looking at before, that's that great big bucket. This is a slightly smaller bucket because it's only stuff that comes from scholarly sources. But even within, we can manipulate the stuff that we see. Do I want only academic journals? Do they have to be peer reviewed? You know, do I want to see magazines instead or newspapers, that kind of thing? So you can shift around and play around with the controls. If you need some assignments, particularly in like healthcare and psychology, the instructors will say, oh, it has to be from within the last 5 years. So you want to control, okay, I want stuff from 2016 to 2021. That's the last 5 years. So then that narrows down what the kinds of things that you are looking at. So, you know, you can control what you see. If you are overwhelmed, I mean, you're much more likely to have too much than not enough as far as library information, because we have a lot of stuff. So if you need help narrowing the field a little bit, narrowing down your topic, or getting in sort of making your job easier, this is a great time to ask a librarian. And hey, look, there's an Ask a Librarian link within the database right there. So you can always just put your stuff in there, chat with one of us, and help you get your searching, make effective use of your time doing research. That's what that's really what we help with. We help you use your time more effectively. So don't spend 2 hours looking for something unsuccessfully. Ask a librarian first. Don't waste that time. All right, so are there other questions about articles, about databases? Any verbal questions or
yes
in the chat? Yeah, I'm ready.
Is it necessary to search for individual databases before we search for content, or can we search for a topic across multiple databases to find an article?
So that's a great question. Thank you. Yeah, so I should have explained this a little bit more a little bit better. When you search in OneSearch, which is the one that's on our homepage, that's the big box on our homepage, you are searching across almost all of the buckets. So it's about 85% of our entire content is available through here, through this one search box. If, for example, like if someone was asking about a psychology research assignment, I would say, oh yeah, don't use OneSearch, use the psychology databases that we have. So, because those ones are only going to talk about psychology topics like psych articles or psych and behavioral sciences. So there are some situations where I like to direct students straight to the databases, because I know, if you're talking about something like mood, which is a topic that people search in psychology, mood or stress, psychologists look at it through a very specific lens because they're doing research on this. But, if I do a search for stress, I'm going to find all kinds of stuff like, managing stress for dummies and, things that are not psychology research. So I hope that makes sense. So biggest bucket of searching is OneSearch on the library homepage. This one right here, that's the biggest bucket. If you wanted to, this is the Costco of searching. You want to go to Costco and you want to walk through all the aisles looking for the one thing that you want, that you need. I just need batteries. I don't need all this other stuff and samples and oh my God, all these distractions. Then maybe you go to the battery store and you say, okay, I want this database because I know that it's going to have what I want. But, if you want to go to Costco, go to Costco. If you want to go to the battery store, go to the battery store. Like, it just depends on, take a minute to think about, or take a moment to think about what it is that you are hoping to find and where you think that might be easiest to find in our databases. And if you are not sure, ask one of us. This is, we know, I know mostly what all these databases have. I'm pretty good at this. I've been doing it for a while. So this is a great time to bring in an expert and say, okay, I'm not really sure. Should I use OneSearch or should I use is there something that's better for specific topics and for specific needs?
You helped me refine my question.
Yes.
I mostly search for peer-reviewed journal articles.
Yes.
Can you take me to the page where we, like say for public health, I want to find the databases that are best for public health?
So we have, so for public health, let's see what we have in.
Maybe health sciences.
Health sciences, yeah, that's where I was going to go. Probably the Health Source Nursing Academic is going to be a great choice for those. There will be some overlap between Health Source Nursing Academic and Academic Search Complete. There will be kind of a Venn diagram of journals across the two, but if you want things that are specific to healthcare fields, this is going to be a great bet. You will notice it looks exactly the same because EBSCO is the company that makes this database. You can also, let's see, where do they hide it? Where it says choose databases, you can cross search just these two. So this is another way of doing some sort of a OneSearch thing, but with just these two. So not all this other stuff. All the other things on here are other databases that this company makes that we subscribe to. But if you want to cast kind of a wide net, but not so wide, this might be a good way to do it. So you can choose the databases that you search. Does that get you what you wanted for?
Yeah.
Get you what you were hoping for? Okay, cool. Great. All right. So we are just about almost at time. Cool. So like I said, if you carry nothing away with you but this, librarians are here to help. We are professional helpers. It is my job to help students. So I want to make sure that you get that message more than anything else. These are different ways you can reach us, either by text or chat. Chat is the most common, typically. We also have an FAQ resource. It's the dvc.libanswers.com, where you can chat with us. All of the answers to all of the questions, lots of the information that I just shared in this presentation, answers, in links and instructions, instructional videos, et cetera, all that kind of thing. I will also, let's see, I've already pasted that in the chat. And I think that's pretty much all. Oh, I also wanted to make sure I wrote this during at the very beginning. There are librarians teaching a couple of other workshops in this college success series. So my colleague Amelie Brown is going to be teaching a workshop called What Do You Care About?, which is all about choosing a good topic for papers. So this is the College Success Workshops page. And so, all of these workshops are taught by many different people on campus. I'm just highlighting the ones that I know are being taught by librarians. So this one, What Do You Care About?, is all about how to pick a good paper topic. So if you find yourself struggling with what to write about when your instructor says, okay, write a 10-page paper on a topic of your choice, and you're like, what do I do? I don't know where to start. This is a great workshop for you. I will be teaching at the very end of the semester a workshop on MLA citation style. So if you are instructed to write a paper in MLA citation style and you go, wait, what? Say again? That is what I will be teaching that on April 22nd. So yeah, so those are ones, there's many other college success workshops on many other topics, but those are ones that are taught by librarians related to stuff that we talked about today. So there's more. I will also be teaching this exact same workshop again next week. So later in the evening. So if you are talking to somebody in your class and they're like, oh, I wish I'd gone, I'll be teaching again next week. So you can see that there listed out. Yeah, so if there aren't any other questions, then I think I'm done.